Firstly, it's funny.
It's funny. That's the reason we picked to make Pikachu. It's funny. Thanks, man. Let's be honest, there was a lot I did not understand whenever I watched the starter Pokemon Battle Royale by Terminal Montage. So I'm going to watch this explanation. If you want to watch my reaction to the actual Battle Royale, make sure to check that out. The link will be in the description. But I'm going to hop right into this explanation and see if I can understand a little bit more of what went on in that video. I really like that sequence. It's really pretty.
Oh yeah, the latest Pokemon Battle Royale I helped Terminal Montage create is out, and it may be the most controversial one yet because people love their starters. Go watch that first because I'm going to spoil everything. You have 3 seconds. The best part is there's no Sylveon.
There is no Sylveon.
Hang on. Hang on. Allow me to explain.
Are there really that many Sylveon stands out there? Surely not. Surely there aren't that many people that are that big of a fan of Sylveon. I'm not a big fan myself, to be honest.
So in this Battle Royale, we have all of the evolutions of all of the starter Pokemon. Now, obviously, like, Oshawott and most of the rest of the basic unevolved Pokemon are not going to win. But by having them here, it leads to more opportunities for jokes, deaths, and interesting tidbits. Folks gotta remember, creative liberties are always taken with these, though for
So a lot of the only reason he included the non-final evolutions was to make jokes with them. Got it.
most interactions, we base things on, like, the Pokedex entries, the anime personalities, gameplay mechanics, and competitive VGC and TCG meta. But one creative liberty we could not take was Sylveon being here because, well, Eevee is only a starter Pokemon in games like Pokemon XD, Conquest, and Let's Go Eevee, which is also why Eevee has the balloons. But in none of these games is your starter Eevee able to evolve into Sylveon.
Where were the balloons? I really don't remember what game the balloons were in. Maybe it was one I didn't play. Let me know in the comments if you know that, because I don't know if he's going to explain it.
Conquest is a Gen 5 game, and your starter Eevee does not evolve at all in Let's Go Eevee. You can try, but without glitchy exploits,
So it's Conquest. It's not because of Let's Go. It's not because of XD or Coliseum. Because I was thinking about that too. People said, oh, it's because of XD Gale of Darkness. It's XD Gale of Darkness. I was like, no, because I'm pretty sure Glaceon and Leafeon weren't in that game. It was only up to Umbreon and Espeon, I'm pretty positive. So I was pretty sure they were wrong on that, but I couldn't remember what game it was, and I played Conquest, and I didn't know this. But Conquest was based on Gen 4.
Raichu, and why the Eevee finally gets an evolution stone scene exists. What? Yes, that was everyone's feelings when Let's Go Eevee came out. Now then, let's watch the whole battle.
That was everyone's feelings when Let's Go Eevee out.
And pause for
Trash games, man.
Some of
Absolute
the
trash.
details and explain why things happen the way they do. I love the occasional Hisuian balls, but like, why does Poipole make a cameo here? Well, because Poipole is a starter Pokemon in its home dimension, but since we, the players ourselves, never get one as a starter, it's not included in the battle.
That's cool. I didn't know that. That's cool lore. So Poipole is a starter in its home dimension, but not in ours.
Oh, Charmander
That's
drowned.
Cool.
If the tip of its tail goes out, it dies.
Yeah, I knew this.
Grovyle here.
I had heard that before with the Charmander thing, where the tip of its tail gets put out by water, it dies. And that's why it was like, someone in the comments was like, hey, the tail got put out, that's why it died. I'm like, I know that's why it died, but it's funnier to say it drowned.
Here is a reference to the Grovyle and Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers. He's got a time gear, so he time travels away.
It's got a time gear, so he travels. Voice of Shrek's Puss in Boots, Florigato's main inspiration. Okay, so that came from Puss in Boots.
So here, the entire Venusaur and Meganium lines are said to have a pleasant aroma that calms people and Pokemon. It weakens their fighting spirit. It nullifies their aggressive emotions.
Makes them chill.
It's just like, chill out, man. Hence also Venusaur's very bloodshot eyes. This also
The Venusaur bloodshot eyes. I caught that in the video, and
relates
it's so
to why
funny to me.
Delphox decided to hang out with them. This fire psychic Pokemon is partially based on Delphic oracles, basically the ancient world's future seers who, for lack of a better term, would burn herbs and get really, really high to get their visions. Now this evolution
I didn't have a clue why Delphox was the only fire Pokemon there, but that makes sense.
bit is fun,
That's
opening
cool.
with a nod to Eevee's Z move, but Espeon's future sight makes it realize it's gotta get out of there before the Eevee chaos ensues.
Oh, that's
Skipping
cool.
ahead to Blastoise, who still shoots from its head instead of its cannons, the Pokedex says it's
The Blastoise still shooting from the head cannon is so funny to me.
capable of blasting this water through thick steel, so most Pokemon are no match for it, even Empoleon's own steel wings after a while. That said, Blastoise and Feraligator's heads are still no match for a Mach 3 water bullet from the agile secret agent Inteleon's dual water pistols. They are slow and easy targets too. Moving to where most of the fire types are, a three-way is happening with all of the firefighting type Pokemon, setting the grassland ablaze and spooking Incineroar away. Incineroar is a fire dark type heel wrestler who really has no chance here, so the scaredy cat leaves and stumbles upon the opera singing Primarina, who gets to experience Incineroar's Throat Chop.
Throat Chop, yep, I caught that one.
Moves. The move
one of its signature moves. Yeah, not really.
prevents its target from using sound-based moves. Not that it matters much, since Incineroar then Smash Bros style back throws Primarina. Sceptile then approaches as a common Smash Bros wannabe, and it double teams, but Incineroar's spinning Darkest Lariat doesn't care about that. So
I didn't catch that either. I didn't catch the Darkest Lariat spin move to take out Sceptile. I was probably too busy laughing at the
Typhlosion Explosion.
Primarina.
Let's back up a bit. After incinerating some lessers, Charizard goes for the nearest worthy opponent it can find to Smash Bros up throw or just do an anime amount of seismic tossing onto.
That's the reference I thought it was from the anime with the seismic toss. I couldn't think of what the move was called whenever I was watching it before, but yeah, the seismic toss.
Charizard is a bit of a show-off, and his victim just happens to be Typhlosion. What's happening here relates to a few of Typhlosion's Pokedex entries.
I didn't catch
behind a
this.
shimmering heat haze that it creates using its intense flames. Typhlosion creates blazing explosive blasts that turn
That's what caused the
everything to
explosion?
cinders. Hence the
Okay.
heat warping
Didn't
effect.
catch that at all.
And it has a secret, devastating move. It rubs its blazing fur together to cause huge explosions.
I didn't catch that
Only
at
here,
all
it's not
when I
just
watched
rubbing
it.
some of its fur together to make an explosion. No, its entire back is rubbing against Charizard as the rapid wind pushes against it, causing a big explosion in the air, separating the two, and an even bigger, more devastating explosion
Big
when it
detail.
crashes into the ground.
Very
Its
detailed.
Pokédex category as the Volcano Pokemon. Well, it's true. So the fiery shockwave of the explosion expands, sending many lighter Pokemon away and vaporizing most of the grass types, but not Chestnut, who can easily withstand explosions just fine. And
He can withstand a bomb
ground
blast,
type,
yeah.
and being partially dug into the ground already, means fire doesn't affect it as much. The smart and tricky Meowscarada decides to hide underneath it, but these flames obviously change the weather a bit, like all major fires, and Swamperts are able to detect weather changes with their sensitive fins. They also
I didn't know that. Swampers can detect weather changes, huh? Its arms are rock hard with one swing. They can batter down its foe. It makes its nest on beautiful
like
beaches.
digging themselves
I didn't
into
know
holes
any
on the
of that about
shores.
Swampert.
And now, to try and better protect its beach, it uses Earthquake to cause the earth to rise around the area. But Earthquake is a devastating move that hits all non-flying battling Pokemon, so in this case, it's gonna hit the whole island. And notably, Swampert is one of only 2 starter Pokemon able to naturally learn the move Earthquake, the other being Torterra. Now with 2
So it uses it
Earthquakes
back.
and a devastating explosion happening, the island has no chance. Swampert gets pushed
Cool
back by
emo teens.
Torterra's Quake, and in turn, Swampert does what out of all of the starter Pokemon,
That's funny because it's like a reference to British culture.
only Swampert can naturally do. It uses Surf, another hit every opponent attack
Surf,
that
okay.
floods and
Not
flushes
muddy
the
water.
island, still being shaken by the Quakes.
Shaken, not stirred.
You get it? Because this Pokemon line is literally a James Bond reference? Also, I know people who blinked and missed it will wonder where Quaquaval was during all this, and the answer is here, being eaten by Superior.
I didn't
Leaning
catch
more on
that at
anime
all.
Logic here, only a few of the Pokemon were fast, strong, or cunning enough not to be defeated by the island-wide onslaught. And Skeledirge was somehow one of them. It sings its lamenting
Somehow one of them.
a dirge, a sad tune to funeral music as the ghosts of the fallen starters, which were congregated down into the chasm, float up and away. As does Skeledirge's own spirit friend, the flaming bird on its nose. That it
I
uses
did not know that that was a flaming bird or that it was its friend.
as a microphone. They are all
Interesting.
being
That's cool.
absorbed by Hisuian Typhlosion,
That was a funny
spirit
sequence.
medium who keeps 108 spirits bound to its flame to power its attacks before sending them off to the proper afterlife. But meanwhile, Meowscarada pops out and uses its trickster magician magic to fool Torterra into eating a flower bomb. Dodongo dislikes smoke, and Chestnut, the White Knight, hates trickery like this, and, of course, is basically bomb-proof.
Chestnut the White Knight.
Now it's time for an iconic top 10 anime battles, Greninja versus Charizard, and despite the type advantage, Charizard wins. Because Charizard, just like in the anime. But specifically here, Greninja tries stealthily putting out Charizard's tail. After all,
Why
that's what
doesn't it
defeated
work?
Charmander.
Tell
But
us.
despite this common belief, Charizard is shown completely submerged with a still burning tail quite occasionally. It no longer has
Gotcha.
this weakness. And
So it isn't affected by the same weakness that Charmander is.
if Charizard becomes furious, the flame on the tip of its tail flares up in a whitish blue
Didn't
color,
know that.
which is powering Charizard up enough to defeat Greninja even after all of its previous battle damage. Quite the upset. Again, just like Hisui and Typhlosion not really
sure about
being
that
able
one.
to do anything after powering up. Well, in a throwback to our very first Pokemon Battle Royale, we have this exact scene. We have Decidueye, who can knock and fire an arrow at an enemy in a tenth of a second, so its battles are decided in the blink of an eye. Well, Samurot's dex entry says, in the time it takes a foe to blink, it can draw and sheathe its scimitars attached to its front legs. And then there's Infernape, who uses all of its limbs to fight.
So
in its
they're all
own
just
unique
giga
style.
fast.
It is beaten by none in terms of quickness. This is a very close battle then, huh? Though the Pokédex also says Decidueye is basically cool and cautious. When it's caught by surprise, it is seized by panic. So when Samurott slices its arrows and Infernape catches them all, it panics.
It panics.
And loses first, followed by Samurott
makes
because
sense.
of Infernape's flame never going out, and its no-limit fallacy, and Samurott's typical one
Wait, what was that? Let me go back on that real quick.
because of Infernape's flame.
There's a
never
special
going
kind of
out,
martial
and
arts
its
involving
no-limit
all of its limbs. Its fire never goes out. Okay. Its crown of fire is indicative of its fiery nature. It is beaten by none in terms of quickness, so it's faster than Samurott,
fallacy, and
basically.
Samurot's typical one slash and then put the sword away fighting style puts it at a disadvantage here too. But then, here comes the Hisuian varieties, catching the Infernape completely off guard. Deja vu? Another Samurott and another Decidueye? That Decidueye still has no chance, but now this Samurott is evil and is
This Decidueye got absolutely destroyed twice.
now known for mercilessly slashing again and again ceaselessly. The
Oh,
off-guard
so now it never
Infernape
gives
has
up.
little chance
Okay.
to respond before it even realizes.
Creative Liberty, yes, it should resist the dark type attack, but resist does not mean cannot be
What's
defeated by.
going on? But then Samurott itself gets distracted by its own bloodlust and is defeated by the other two firefighting types. Now you'll notice there's quite
I
a
didn't
lot of
catch
fire
Imbor
types
helping
remaining,
out there.
So let's talk some meta stuff. It was always going to be mostly fire types in the end. The fire type starters are, in general or as a whole, the best of the bunch. First off, the most resistances, the middlest weaknesses, and plus there's the status effect that plenty of their moves can just apply. Some guaranteed. Burn. It not only deals damage over time, but also cuts the physical attack damage of the burned Pokemon.
So physical
in
attackers don't
half.
really have a good
And
chance
only
against
fire
fires.
types are immune to burn, so yes, even the water types get burned, and now their attacks are less effective on the fires. Ugh. The other two types have nothing like this, unless you count like seeded. And also, for some reason, Game Freak decided that most fire starters just have a higher base stat total. I mean, like in Gen 1, 2, and 4, the fire starters' total stats are 534 compared to Grass's 525 and Water's 530.
Didn't know
Also,
that.
fire fighting is a very good offensive type combo, and
Yes,
there
it
are
is.
3 of them. The fire types also tend to be on the more speedy and offensive side, more
Yep.
so than the other types as a whole, and their moves tend to be on the more damaging side as well. But if you were to tally them up and see how many starters of each type get into a game's OU or Uber tiers, not counting the evolutions, because let's be honest, they don't really have a chance. You get water with 11,
I love it, dude. Evolutions are so popular, but they're so lame.
grass with 13, most of those being Venusaur in every stinking gen, but then fire's here with 17. So yeah,
Most
it's
of
gonna be a
those
lot
being
of
Venusaur.
fire in the end, which in turn also means the grass types get kind of screwed pretty early on. But I think it's fitting. I mean, just consider the general properties of fire. Ooh, I can make a plant grow and have you sneeze. Watch out, my leaves might be
true.
a little pokey.
True.
Oh, I can make you moist, and through an incredible amount of focused effort, I can pierce and or drown you.
I have no choice but to melt your flesh beyond repair by simply bumping into you. I turn your forests into ash and your water into steam. We are the driving force of destruction and the inevitable demise of all ecosystems.
It's so
Sure, water
true.
puts out the fire, but it's a type triangle here. They should theoretically be balanced.
They're
But
not.
As the anime and card game shows us, type advantage is not everything. That said, calculating in secondary types gets really long-winded if I were to explain everything, but like, most of the best water types get kind of screwed. Yeah, Hisuian, Samurott, and Greninja especially can keep up with the fire types given their watery advantage, but that Dark, there are 3 really good fire fighting types.
Yeah.
Some grass fighters too.
Yeah.
Primarina's fairy typing, Empoleon's steel, those hinder their effectiveness when fighting the fire types. And yeah, Swampert is really good itself. Its water ground type means that it super resists fire type attacks, hence it lasting the longest and holding off an entire group of fire types by itself. With
Swampert's a
little bit of help
monster.
of the little
I love Swampert. Swampert's a beast. Probably the best water starter of all time.
Sobble, that's his name.
It's not my favorite. It's not my favorite water starter. That would be Empoleon and then Greninja. But it's probably the best water starter of all
So,
time.
fun fact, has the highest base stat total out of all of the starters at 535.
Weird.
Only one higher than most of the fires, but interesting design choice, Game Freak. But yeah, honestly, it would have a very good chance of winning this, if not for that one pesky little thing. It's 4 times weakness to grass. A third of the Pokemon are grass.
Yep.
Now you die.
And so we are left with Charizard.
And so probably one of the most overpowered grass types comes and takes him out. Pure grass types.
And Blaziken, 2 powerhouses of the metagame, almost always Uber or OU tier, and Pikachu.
Pikachu!
Pikachu was OU in the Gen 2 games.
In the Gen
Gotta count for something.
2 games.
Yeah. Ooh, and yeah, Charizard's got that flying type, so it's weak to electric. So we're left with the final showdown, Blaziken versus Pikachu. Blaziken makes sense given everything we've talked about already, but why Pikachu?
Yes, seriously,
Well,
why?
a
We
number of
wanna know.
reasons. Firstly, it's funny.
It's funny. That's the reason we picked to make Pikachu. It's funny. Thanks, man.
It's a tiny little rat. It's like zooping. It's beep, 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 beep. On a squishy little orb that sounds like beep. And I'm fighting this giant flaming bird that punches and kicks like a man. It's funny. Nobody expected this cute little orb to make it this far. But also, this isn't just any Pikachu who's
It's
already
the
the
Let's
mascot
Go
of the
Pikachu,
franchise
which is
and clearly is
overpowered.
capable of overcoming
The Let's Go Pikachu is overpowered.
many great challenges as seen in the anime. No, this is a Pikachu who can fly with its balloon ride, who can surf with a board, who has a tertiary ability of
He
sorts
can fly, he can surf. What else can't he do?
to just sometimes ignore or remove status effects, who has a higher crit chance, who has 4 signature moves with unique effects, like
True.
Splishy Splash. It's a water-type move that has a 30% chance of paralyzing. Floaty Fall, did you mean freaking flinch for me, please? Zippy Zap, a priority move that is also always a crit. And Pika Papow, a strong electric attack that it knows as a secret 5th move. What? It has 110 more stat total than your regular everyday Pikachus, and guaranteed maximum IVs. I want in this thing's bloodline. And to top that all off, it can sometimes just ignore being knocked out to 0 HP again and again and again. This
Why won't you die? That was a funny moment.
is Let's Go Pikachu's
Yep, Let's Go Pikachu.
partner Pikachu. A Pikachu so good, Game Freak
Broken.
locked it into its game. Not allowed to be transferred out. And yes, partner Eevee has
Not
the same
allowed.
sorts of
Not allowed to be transferred out. I didn't know that. That's makes sense, but that's funny.
buffs, but its normal typing and being focused on trying to evolve prevents it from being quite as good. And plus, it doesn't have the cards.
That's
More so
true.
than any other form of Pokemon media. The trading card game has extreme power creep, so the cards from today will almost always be better than the cards a few or more sets ago. In fact, right now, Charizard V-Star is considered the most powerful and devastating card in the game. Oh yeah, just 320 damage or 130 that turns into 230 if it has any damage, and it can just do that over and over again. So all the more reason for it to reach
And there was a
third
worse
place.
Charizard that
Charizard
came out,
cards are
too.
often the most valued and sought after by collectors too, so it's not like they needed to make it this strong, but they did to say something about it. Surprisingly though, it doesn't see a ton of play despite its overwhelming power. But you know what did? Radiant Greninja.
Yep, so
In the
much
2022
because it
Trading Card
literally
Game
just
Championship,
discards a card.
Half of the top
or an energy
10
and draws
used it
2.
for its way good ability. Though, interestingly, none of the top 3 players used it.
Interesting.
You know what the 3
Pikachu.
toppest champions of the trading card game last year used a lot?
Some sort of Pikachu.
Oh, you guessed it. All 3 of them heavily utilized Flying Pikachu V and Flying Pikachu V Max. Now, we won't be considering the V Max card because that's the card game's equivalent of Gigantamaxing and such. There was none of that here. But regular Flying Pikachu V is also the closest the card game gets to Let's Go Partner Pikachu and its power level. And if all top 3 champions used it, it must be good, so let's read it. Okay, 190 HP with the move Thunder Shock. It does 20 damage and a 50% chance to paralyze. That doesn't seem... I feel like a regular Pikachu could do that.
Yeah, it doesn't seem good. Why is it good? Is it just because it has 190 HP?
Oh, right. What's the other attack? So 120 damage. Decent, not bad at all. But a 50% chance to just ignore all damage and effects of the opponent's attacks next turn, and you can just keep doing that?
That's crazy.
A move like that, no wonder it'd be good. And then when you evolve it into VMAX, it's like it's just a full-on, oh, no wonder it won kind of card. Jeez. Okay, so where does Blaziken stand in the card game? Oh, not well. Just 2 modern cards. Blaziken V and
not
VMAX,
well.
which again, we're not going to count. So I read a lot of reviews by people who know the card game better than me, and basically the conclusion here is that Blaziken V is... it's okay. You would only ever really use it to turn it into VMAX, but even then, Blaziken VMAX is decent at best.
Not that
Very
good, yeah.
middle of the road. So Blaziken versus Pikachu?
So it comes down to the card game.
Well, you see, Blaziken, it's because it was still at full HP when you started fighting it. It just ignored all of the attacks at the start of the Royale thanks to the cards and its balloons, and also its partner Pikachu, which can just ignore being knocked out sometimes.
But Blaziken wins.
Isn't this game great?
Why does
But all
Blaziken
of
win?
that sound-
Isn't this game great? Man, the Let's Go games are just going to forever be the most hated. They're not going to make a worse Pokemon game than the Let's Go games, are they? Comment down below if you think that they will make a worse game than Let's Go. If there is a worse game than Let's Go, comment it down below and let me know what you think it is. I think they're the worst Pokemon games.
Sounds
of all
like it's
time.
leading to a Pikachu victory, so why didn't it?
Yes.
Well, beyond the obvious that none of us want it to. I mean, it's an unevolved rat that we see every second of the day already. It overcomes miserable odds on the reg in the anime constantly. It's cute, too cute, to be this powerful, and it's all so tiring. This one's shaped like a bean. But yes, even in loss, it's still a very close battle. This part of the Royales are always tricky. The TCG, board games, spin-off games, and anime, though, they all pull from the main video game first.
True.
So of course we prioritize looking at the main video game stats, meta, and Pokédex entries first, and then supplement it with the rest.
True.
If we were to prioritize the card game, yeah, Pikachu would win, no questions asked, but balancing it out with the main games,
Blaziken's
Pikachu
way
was
better.
only OU once, before Blaziken even existed. And Blaziken
Literally.
has been OU or Uber banned this whole time.
Yeah.
But why though? What makes Blaziken so much better?
Part of it
than
is
the
speed
rest?
boost.
Well, it's fire type, first of all. Already a huge advantage because this is a free-for-all battle royale setting and everything is going to catch on fire no matter what happens. But also, as stated, firefighting is an amazing offensive combo. Like most of the best offensive attack moves are one of these 2 types. And it gets
Yep.
its stab bonus with all of them. Really, at first, the only thing keeping Blaziken back in Gens 3 and 4 was
That's
its
Flare,
speed.
Blitz,
Blaziken's
and
speed
close
is only
combat.
a little bit of
Just think about that. It has Flare, Blitz, and Close Combat. And its hidden ability is Speed Boost. And he's just about to say it, I think. The only thing holding it back was its speed.
above average, surprisingly. So while it could easily destroy most Pokemon that it's faster than, it's only faster than a little over half of them.
That's
Geez, that
speed
partner
boost.
Pikachu's speed is 120 what? But something happened in Generation 5. Game Freak occasionally goes
Hidden
back
abilities.
and buffs older Pokemon so they can try to keep up with the power creep. But what they did to Blaziken haunts competitive players to this day.
Yep.
So much so that even Smogon's own webpage explaining how the whole tier system works has this illustration featuring Blaziken at the top, almost like it's the poster child of Pokemon being so good they're just outright banned. All Game Freak did was fix its little speed problem by giving it access to the
Speed
boost ability, which raises its speed every turn by 1 stage. Could use Protect on turn 1 and get a free speed boost. Maybe play some mind games, make you think it's going to use Protect on turn 1, so you buff yourself. But no, it used Swords Dance instead. Now you attack. Oh, it used Protect. Top it off with Flare Blitz and a high jump or low kick, and Blaziken was suddenly considered an uncounterable Pokemon. Not even just this one specific setup. As long as it had that ability, if someone threw out Blaziken, you had a turn or 2 to take it out before it just up and swept your entire team, no matter
Pretty
how
nasty.
tanky
Speed
they
boost
are.
is a disgusting
One
ability.
shot, dead. Swept. You let Blaziken speed up and maybe even buff its attack with a
Or
Swords
Swords
Dance.
Dance,
Maybe
yeah.
a previous
Because Swords Dance is +2 attack. Its attack is already really high. That's the like if they would have taken its special attack and made it and given it compensated it in speed, it would have been broken and they would have had to give it speed boost. But they gave it good special attack and good attack, and they gave it mediocre speed. But you gave it speed boost, so we fixed that
Pokemon
problem.
just set up a sunny day. So it's game over already. No contest. Concede. Like, maybe the best you can hope for is that team has Blaziken. Maybe that Blaziken will only take out half of my team instead of the entirety of it. Entire classes of Pokemon and entire strategies and play styles were turned on their heads because of this one freaking bird. And then Game Freak went and gave it a Mega. Bonus fact, you can actually give a Life Orb to it, and now its attack is even better than its Mega too. Isn't this game fun? That all being said though, it was recently unbanned in later Sword and Shield.
I didn't know that. With a Life Orb, its attack is better than its Mega. I did not know that.
Due to different Pokemon being in the lead of the metagame. Also, Game Freak had buffed some other older Pokemon, and they introduced some new moves and items that help you deal with the Blaziken problem, and they even removed some moves that Blaziken used to have
Pretty
access
sure he's still
to.
Uber.
So now, it actually has some decent counters that are easy to come by in the main metagame, so the actual use of Blaziken NFL. You could almost think of it as like the rest of Pokemon finally power crept up to Blaziken's level. But you see, when it comes to those perfect Blaziken counters, none of them are starters. They're like
None of them are starters.
slow bro. And so, in a free-for-all battle royale with only starters, I believe Blaziken still has not a guaranteed victory, but the best chance at coming out on top, with partner Pikachu and Charizard coming in close. The dang duo of Game Freak favoritization privilege. If Swampert could hide and avoid the grass types until the very end, it too would have a very good chance.
Yeah.
Torterra might be able to tank it out if it wasn't such a slow, dumb, and lazy tortoise. And Venusaur is actually also on a lot of OU and Uber tier lists when
But it's
designed in a
because
very
of
specific way.
chlorophyll.
But in lore,
With Solar Beam.
it too is just kind of slow and dumb and sleepy. Oh, I'm on my own herbs. You hear what I'm saying?
Cringe.
Don't make me mad. I might wiggle a whip at you. I'm a Venusaur. But okay, what are your takes? Maybe you're making this face because I made some.
All right, that's it for that. If you guys enjoyed that, make sure to watch me react to the original video that'll be posted down below. Let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think that Blaziken should win more often than not? Do you think Pikachu should be even up there? Whatever your thoughts are. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to catch me in the next one. Peace.